Ruth Lucas was a trailblazer in the military, becoming the first African-American woman to attain the rank of colonel in the United States Air Force. A tireless advocate for improving educational opportunities for military personnel, Ruth created and implemented special instructional programs to help individuals succeed.
The story of Ruth Lucas is ageless. It's timeless. An excellent role model. Someone who survived some very difficult times, not only survived, thrived.
Ruth Lucas's parents migrated to Stamford, Connecticut from Alabama. Ruth was born in 1920, the third of 5 children. She graduated from Stamford High School in 1938 at the top of her class.
She was brilliant. She really was one of the smartest people you'd ever meet. And for someone so skilled, gifted, articulate, she was also one of the most modest people you'd ever meet.
In 1938, Ruth began her studies at what is now Tuskegee University in Alabama, where she majored in education.
I think she would have found herself not only surrounded by people who looked like her, but who similarly had goals to achieve.
She did very well at Tuskegee, academically and socially. She was very active on campus, not just academically. Editor of the yearbook, she was voted Miss Chi. She was well-liked, she was well-respected, admired.
With World War II in full swing at the time of her graduation in 1942, Ruth joined the newly formed Women's Army Auxiliary Corps.
Think of how she's already putting her nation first. Here's a young black woman. Instead of going off on her career and starting her own world of adventure, she immediately signs up to serve.
She's raised and educated in a time where there were multiple barriers based upon her race alone. So to add to that, your sex, this was something that wasn't new to her. So the idea that she could show them what she could do, I think is something that was just in the spirit of Ruth.
She cared about both her community and certainly her country. She knew she wanted to make a difference, particularly with African Americans, because at that time, many African Americans who were in the military had little formal education. She sort of brought other people along by implementing educational programs and seeing that people had opportunities for advancement.
After graduating from Officer Candidate School, Lucas became a WAC Squadron commander at Fort Warren in Cheyenne, Wyoming, receiving commendations for her leadership skills.
I think for Ruth to rise in the ranks of military service during her time was extraordinary. I think that the message without her ever opening her mouth is, look at what I've been able to do. I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. I came away to Tuskegee Institute. I was able to be educated. I was able to enter the military services. I dealt with the challenges that were hoisted upon me. I think that's what she imparted to others and helped them believe that you don't have to feel defeated and that whatever your challenges are, if you're willing to work hard to overcome them, you can succeed.
In 1948, when President Truman ended all forms of segregation in the military, Ruth was one of the first black women to attend Air Force Officer Training School.
I'm sure that was a great moment for her. It was a great time in history. I'm sure she felt in some ways a sense of personal victory as well as a victory for other people.
Ms. Lucas was then stationed in Tokyo, Japan from 1951 to 1954.
She loved teaching in her off-duty hours, so she taught English to Japanese students.
In 1952, she was awarded the Bronze Star Medal, cited for her exemplary conduct in the performance of duty.
Just imagine a person, always perfect diction, always the right word choice, always the right temperament, just a smooth, cool, level-headed lady.
After her time abroad, she returned stateside to Mitchell Air Force Base in New York, and by 1956 had been promoted to the rank of major. While stationed there, Lucas earned a master's degree in educational psychology from Columbia University. In the early 1960s, Lucas was transferred to Washington, D.C., where she set up programs to help raise the educational levels of service personnel.
She saw the injustices in society, and she understood that the key to overcoming and correcting these injustices was to empower everyone she knew in the black community and in the military forces, in the classroom, that power of education. Education would be the means to establish social justice in this world.
In 1967, Ruth Lucas was assigned to the Pentagon to serve as Assistant for General Education and Counseling Services.
This would be a way not only to help them survive and to excel in the military, but it gave them something to start their own lives back in the community when they returned.
In 1968, Lucas became the first African-American woman in the Air Force to be promoted to the rank of colonel.
It was the highlight of her career. It was important for the military, setting that example for others that if she did it, perhaps I too can achieve.
After 27 years of service, Lucas retired in 1970 as the highest-ranking African-American woman in the Air Force. Her military decorations included the World War II Victory Medal, the Korean Service Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal, among many others.
She got all those medals and honors and awards, and it wasn't because she was black, and it wasn't because she's a woman, but it was because she was an extraordinary military professional who put her heart and brains and soul into everything that she did.
In her retirement, Ruth Lucas became an educator at the University of the District of Columbia and a volunteer with the Urban League in Washington, D.C. In 1971, Ruth took in her two great-nieces and great-nephew when she realized her young niece needed help raising 3 small children.
Aunt Ruth saw the need and offered assistance. She raised us as her own children. And the 3 of us are certainly grateful to have had Aunt Ruth for not only just our great aunt, but a mother figure, a friend, a mentor. She was so much to all of us.
In 2013, at the age of 92, Ruth Lucas passed away. She was buried in Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors.
I don't think Ruth set out to be a role model. I think she set out to live her best possible life.
People who come to serve automatically deserve to be recognized and honored. To have someone who is so selfless is really beautiful, inspirational, and something worthy of recognition.